So, most people on here tend to complain about the suffering in financial ways, like lack of housing, lack of being able to buy food, which obviously is all incredibly valid and borderline necessity things to rant about, and you don't really have a choice because if you don't have those things, you'll die. Um, but it's so oversaturated and it doesn't change anything anyway. And I really just like to hone in on more like spiritual suffering that people tend to not acknowledge as much. I just saw a tweet tonight that absolutely crushed me. I saw it a couple of hours ago, and I'm not sheltered when it comes to how cruel people are at all. I literally get crushed by strangers on social media for a social life because it's all I have. And if I don't look at it, the loneliness is even worse. But someone said something tonight that, like, you're obviously not intelligent and you're nothing special if you went to a crappy college and now you're working a dead end job. So stop insulting Elon Musk and other millionaires. And I know that person is just your walking cliche clone that's full of shit. They were also a nobody. Their Twitter account didn't have a lot of followers, but there was a lot of interaction on the tweet. And it really it makes me think that like I have a lot of mental disorders. Like I have a lot of disassociation and multiple personality disorders in a sense. And I have a tendency to create incredibly in-depth scenarios. I guess it's kind of a form of daydreaming and neuroticism at the same time, where it's like I daydream that I have profound, creative, fulfilling connections with people and that I have a profoundly fulfilling creative career and that people know me and my sense of humor and that they understand me and they like me and they truly know me and care about me. And my whole life I've like had these weird like, and I know that this is common, but I've had these like multiple life ongoing complex daydreams where it's like it was everything that I wanted in life, like being a successful creative in some way, whether it was posting even just dumb jokes on YouTube and having a lot of followers and a fan base, or working with people creatively in a writer's room for a popular piece of media, or even having a husband that like worked in the industry, and even just having friends that knew and cared about and understood me. And my whole life, ever since I was a kid, I have been living like this in this weird, like ongoing, complex, profoundly painful, disorienting mental sickness where I am constantly creating different lives and scenarios and relationships in my head. And even things that are as mundane that most people just have naturally, like someone thinking that a joke that I just thought of is funny or something playing along with me. And then right after feeling an incredibly abrasive, depressive mood drop. And that tweet that I saw tonight, where she kind of just encapsulated what on the surface my whole life is, and the only way that people will ever see and talk to me, including my own parents, which is basically just seeing me as like this sickly average kid who then went to a shitty college, and believe me, mine was really shitty, and then went to a dead end job for the rest of my life. And what I'm trying to get across is that I have an incredibly sickly, overly complex, overly congested headspace because every human need that I ever could have wanted my whole life has been taken from me in every possible way. I have never had any creative success with anything. I have never had any friends. I've had maybe two in my whole life, both of which ended up despising and backstabbing me. I've never had a partner. I will never be a mother. I will never have kids. There's a very good chance I'll never even have the dignity of having my own place. And this all just goes back to what I'm trying to say, that like it's like my brain has become incredibly overly complex and overly sick by trying to appease this profound spiritual suffering that comes with a person that has lived their whole life role playing as a person that does not exist to appease people that they are not connected to, that do not care about them, that they have no emotional connection with people that don't even want to try to understand them, surrounding them with systems that are using them and asking them to do things that does not feel true to their purpose. And reading stuff like that online is just absolutely devastating. But it also extends me into like a spiral of like realizing why I'm so neurotic and so complex in the head. I think that my brain is working full time trying to appease a life that will never be human. I will never have a husband. I will never have kids. I will never even have a decent, personal, mediocre life like my parents. I will much less never be the fully rewarded, celebrated Hollywood female director that would have been the best version of me. I'll never even make crappy short films with my friends because you don't make friends after college. And I never had friends in college anyway because of debilitating, repulsive mental issues that I had that I guess people could sense from having a traumatic childhood. And all this just to say that, like, a person's headspace can be so fucking ridiculously complex. And it blows my mind that I wake up to this social media that's theoretically free speech every day, and everybody is just saying the same thing every day, and it's also superficial and vague. I literally write mini novels every day just from the amount of neuroticism and ideas and imagination that goes in my head. For literally the past 4 years straight, my brain has been hyper hallucinating in a sense through maladaptive daydreaming, me being a wife to a cartoon character that has profound, perfect, complex cinematography, direction. It even has the small little details, like there's a little music transition ring from one scene to the other. Like, that's how complex and how detailed it is. It's literally like watching a TV show that's been fully developed by an entire crew. And it's literally just as detailed, if not even more so, than most fully published TV shows that are out there. And the whole concept of it is that I'm unconditionally loved and that we're a husband and wife and we have these children and all these problems happen. And it's going through my brain in the form of like a cartoon TV show. Um, and and all the while, just to extend how complex this mental sickness actually is, sometimes my brain zooms out from like that ongoing, incredibly emotionally detailed, incredibly cinematic lighting, etc., incredibly detailed TV show going on in my head, and it zooms out and it starts focusing on, like, well, what's the crew doing? What's my relationship with the crew that's doing this TV show? And what's my relationship with my husband outside of this crew that's working on this TV show? And it's literally like my brain has created worlds within worlds within worlds within worlds, both creatively and on a personal level, to cope with the fact that on the surface, I am nothing but a pipeline of a cheap, working class, replaceable, unremarkable person that will never even get the chance to be seen or to explain these thoughts outside of vague strangers that will not watch this video and do not care on the internet. And it's just crazy to me how insane I am. And like the fact that nobody else seems to extend in detail how sick an unfulfilled life will make a person. People are always talking about like schizophrenia and psychosis, but nobody actually seems to really truly explain in profound detail or why about what it's truly like to live in an incredibly complex, thoughtful, imaginative, manic, neurotic, unpredictable headspace every day, when in real life all you're doing is getting up, going to a dead-end job, saying, hey, yeah, sure, to your coworker and manager, helping people on the phone with customer service, going home, looking at superficial drug addicts on Twitter, and going to bed. And it's so fucking disorienting, and I wish I could find other people that know what it feels like to be this fucking crazy because of the sickness that has come with being a creative person that is just wasting away in real life with this cheap pipeline I've been forced to roleplay as my whole life because it's the only way that I can get money to survive.